So welcome to this 12 p.m. session on Learn to Learn, part of the Technology Transition Program. I'm Brendan McGuigan. I'm the Assistive Technology Tutor based in the Access Office in Maynooth. So if you have any questions, you probably already noticed the bar if you're accessing this through a browser like Chrome. If not, you'll notice that icon with the question mark and the two chat bubbles there. So please click on that and ask a question during this. I'm actually joined here by two ambassadors, which I will let them introduce yourselves. So Mern, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mern and I'm a third year computer science student.
Thanks, Mern, and also joined by Richard.
Hi, I'm Richard and I'm a computational thinking student.
Thanks, Mern and Richard. So they'll be checking out the Q&A or the chat on the right there. So if you wanted to test it out, please just type in your course or what you're going to study just to test it out, and they can respond. So they also have the power to interrupt me during this session as well, just if you have any further questions about any of the content. So let's go on. So the obvious 2020 change is learning has gone online, so it'll be half online, half in person, I suppose, with the course content at Maynooth. So your classes, notes, materials, etc. will all be digital. So in this, we will go through what tools and strategies to set yourself up for success. So everything detailed in this should, believe it or not, they exist to make your student life easier and less stressful. So time-saving techniques. So less time spent in front of a screen sometimes is always good for the mental health as well. So, and then if you're saving time by doing research, etc. Again, all this will make more sense by the end of this session. So at the end of the session, by the way, I should note that the very last slide isn't the very last slide. I will then share my screen. So just stick around and I'll go through a couple of these. I'll sign into a couple of these sites just to show you how they work briefly. If hoping the technology still works for me then. So what we'll cover is better note taking, improving your reading, and then researching or searching for reading. So finding that needle in the haystack for researching as well. So again, cutting down all your time, stress, and then increasing your energy for your college life, I suppose, is the point of this, or the point of any of the TTP sessions, I'll argue. So with note taking, pretty much what you're doing with note taking is you're recording your online lectures to review and improve your notes. So every single note taking technology is always based upon recording. So for example, you could actually use the built-in recorder within Teams. So Teams has a built-in recorder within it. Just a warning on the built-in recorder in Teams is that everyone will get a notification that recording is being someone has accessed or switched on recordings. I'm not too sure if anyone watched the news where they're talking to or interviewing people through Microsoft Teams. You might notice the bar of the very top. This sounds completely sad, I know, but I recognizing the interface on the news that is Microsoft Teams. If they're doing those live chats, you can notice a bar up the top to saying recording has started. But that's Teams. If you're accessing your lecture content through there, even on a mobile device, there's usually iPhones and Android phones will have a built-in recorder within them where you can record audio on it. So there's a few things I'll go through. One is a cross-platform app, and one is actually a desktop app only, and desktop application only. I keep saying apps instead of applications. And then one is a physical device. So Otter, this is available through an app on your phone as well as through otter.ai, so through a website too. And as mentioned earlier, I'll be going through and signing into a couple of these sites at the end of this session. So Otter is really handy as it also produces, it both records and it transcribes the text. Not perfect, it's not 100%, but as it's a machine learning, or not machine learning, but it's a sort of its own AI trying to get text or speech to text is never 100%. Hopefully you'll see that in action when I start talking away and it'll start picking out incorrect words. So if you've ever turned on auto captions on an online video, for example on YouTube, you might notice that the subtitles are a bit off. So that's when you're going speech to text, it's just trying to pick out a word close enough to that word, and sometimes it isn't correct. But with Otter as well, it'll actually have the live recording of the audio that you can edit or click a little pencil icon and change that word if it is a word that's been outputted incorrectly. Audio Note Taker is a desktop application. Again, records audio, but this has the benefit of importing your slides. So if your slides are available through Moodle, if you attended the 11 a.m. session, you'll know what Moodle is. You can actually download, import your slides. Your slides will appear as a different row within this program. And what will happen is you'll click on record, and a sort of a faint bar will go across the screen. I have a GIF or a GIF of this in action later in a slide later on, and hopefully it'll make sense by then too. So it'll have a faint bar going from left to right, and what you're doing is you're audio highlighting text instead. So you're kind of taking note-taking on its and throwing it on its head, where you're not actually writing out any notes during class. You can type notes if you wanted to. I'm not that fast at typing though, so with the number shortcuts on your keyboard, you'd type, for example, just press the letter 1 to change that block, highlight it red. So you know that that's a really important thing that was being mentioned or said at the moment, and you press 1, that block will turn red. Press 1 again, it will default back to its color. I think it's a light blue color, and just continue the lecture that way. So when you press enter, then it'll actually hop down to the next row if the lecturer has changed the slide. So you can actually synchronize the audio to whatever slide you're on to. And then the third option there is the LiveScribe Smart Pen. So records audio while writing on a specific paper, and then you tap on your writing to return at that point. I'll detail that in a later slide too. So Otter, I should mention, that is available for free. Free asterisk, there's some limitations on the app. I think there's only 600 minutes available per month, so use it wisely. And then with Audio Note Taker and the LiveScribe Smart Pen, these are pretty much only available through the Access Office if you are registered with the Disability Office. So I should mention that too. If you're registered with the Disability Office, you'll get onto your advisor, which might be Bridget Gormley or Jared Gallagher, and they will then probably forward you on to me, and I can set you up with any of these software or hardware devices then to help you with your note taking. So here is just a short overview of otter.ai. So otter.ai/signup, you can actually import both audio and video. And what it does is that it then scrubs the audio or the video and then outputs an automatic transcription for you. So great for if you're ever doing an interview that you don't need to then transcribe. The worst thing about an interview is almost the transcription of it afterwards. At least you have something to go on then after that interview. So as mentioned, I'll go through the any of these applications or apps at the end, so stick around and I'll do that. So here's a short GIF on the left of Audio Note Taker being used. So during the start of a lecture, so sometimes I like an Audio Note Taker to an Excel sheet or an Excel file, just because you're creating rows and columns. So it'll automatically have your images in the first column. So that's when you import a slide. Each slide will appear there as a separate image in that, and they'll go down as many slides as there are. There's also a notes column where you can type in any notes. Usually Sonocent, who make Audio Note Taker, they advise on typing up your notes after the lecture. So all these note-taking technologies too, what they're trying to force you to do is to be more present and not playing catch-up in a lecture. So that just means that I'm not scribbling down something, looking at my page, then looking up at the slide, and then suddenly the slides moved 2 slides and I don't know where we are. And sometimes with me as well, I'll have a bit of a moment and the pen goes down, and then I just forget everything from that pen going down. So what you're meant to do with any of these recording or note-taking pieces of kit or software is that you're meant to know then that you can fall back onto the audio recording. So with Audio Note Taker, it's a very visual program that you can see it highlighting red for any important bits. You can see they're creating the new row. I might ask Myrn if she has any more hints or tricks about using Audio Note Taker there. She can.
Yeah, no, I find Audio Note Taker really handy, because especially like revising for exams or like tests, I just like put it on in the background, and then I'm doing like other stuff like looking up like definitions or something. So like it's really handy.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mern. So yeah, so Mern finds audio note taker really handy, and it's, I suppose this is why all these technologies exist, is because if there was one technology, we'd all be using them. So for example, if you find using the recording app on your phone while you're writing pen paper notes works for you, then fire away at that. Just one hint, I'll say, if you are recording with a using a recording app instead of using any of these other apps, is that timestamp your notes. So don't think you have to write everything out that's being delivered in a lecture. Just, for example, if you're 20 minutes into a lecture and something quite important was said, just write 20M in your notes, just to know that you can jump back to that moment in time and you're not stuck. For example, if I'm trying to, sometimes my mind is stuck on a word and I can't spell it. I know that that's one example of personal, and I'm then stuck on that, on like a YouTube buffering, where I'm stuck on that one bit and the video has gone on without me. So that's one way of keeping up. The other physical device there is a LiveScribe Smart Pen. So again, that's a pen with basically a computer inside it. So you can see in that image there, there's a screen, there's a little microphone and a speaker on it. So that will link up to your PC or Mac using a piece of software which is free to download called Echo Desktop. So anything you write on the pen using, these are specific notepads as well, because they have millions and millions of tiny dots. So that's a barcode for the pen to let you know what notebook you're on, even what page you're on. So at the bottom of each page, you would tap on a little recording button, the pen will chime, and the actual screen will tick up as it's ticking up and recording. So it's obviously recording every audio from the moment you tap on that recording button. Then you will write your notes normally. I say normally, but knowing that you can then fall back on anywhere you put pen to paper. So if you are stuck on something, sometimes I will just draw a little star or asterisk just to know and continue on with the flow of the lecture. So at the end of the lecture, you'll tap on stop down the bottom of the page, and then any notes you've written on the page, you will tap the pen around the page, and it'll actually start playing the audio from that moment in time. So you tap the page and then start fleshing out your notes then afterwards. So I think Richard has used the LiveScribe Smart Pen. If he has a couple of tips about that, that'd be great. Thanks, Richard.
I have, yeah. The Smart Pen is very useful. It takes you a little bit to get used to writing notes with it, because it's different to just taking notes normally. But one thing that's very useful is to just mark on the page you're writing out, to just mark like times along it, so that if you listen back to it, you can jump to any point in the lecture.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Richard. So so that's both Audio Note Taker and the LiveScribe Smart Pen, both used by Mern and Richard there. So I'll move on to reading. So improving your reading. So hearing text read aloud. So this is going the reverse. So with those transcription apps or the note-taking apps, so they're going speech to text when they work, which I'll go through later with Otter. But with the other way around, you can actually convert typed text to audio. So text to speech programs. So the one we have on with Maynooth is this program called Text Help Read and Write. So that reads aloud any text that's on screen, and that's from multiple applications too. So that's any text within Word, within the browser, within a PDF, if you wanted to, within a PowerPoint, within Excel, any text you can highlight. You can then click on the play button on the Text Help Read and Write toolbar, and it will read aloud for you. Microsoft Word also has a built-in play button to hear text read aloud, and it also has a dictate button to go the reverse. You can actually dictate your documents too, and I'll detail that in a later slide. Your browser actually, little star Edge browser, as far as I know, the one built in to Windows 10, and I believe it's a free download for anyone who else wants to use it, has a read aloud button, which is called Immersive Reader, which I will also detail on an article too. So I don't think I can share my audio on this, but you'll have to believe me that it is reading out loud. There are voices that you can download and install, which I'll go through in the next slide to make it sound a bit more human and not a robotic voice that's a bit monotonous. Excuse me. So this is read and write. I'll leave this slide up a wee bit longer, and because if you go to the site essentials.texthelp.com, you can then enter the following serial numbers for both Windows and Mac, and log into the site, and you will click on download TextHelp Read and Write, and that's where you'll see when it installs. That's the full toolbar that will appear that you can actually pin to the screen, to the left, to the right, or to the top. I know in Windows 10, in OS X or Macs, I believe the toolbar just stays floating. I don't think, or it could be changed completely in the last 5 minutes. That's the way technology is moving nowadays. But you can't really pin it. So I call TextHelp Read and Write a sort of a Swiss Army knife application. So it's one big application that has lots of smaller, more useful applications within it. So what's the main uses of it is you can actually use it to proofread your own written work. So if you have any essays or assignments, or even if you have any existing documents, test them, highlight the text, click on the fourth button across there, which is the play button, and you'll hear it read aloud to you. So sometimes when something is read aloud, it makes it more tangible, makes it more real, and just lets you hear, like, they're not mistakes in your work. It's just what points you want to get across in your work too. So sometimes you want to make a really good point, and you're not really sure how to go about it, and sometimes text to speech will give you ideas, or like and this is sort of the rabbit hole of proofreading, that you could spend ages on proofreading something that you've been working on, because you have these blinkers on. You think that your essay or your assignment is done, when if you took the extra 15-20 minutes just to have it read out loud, you can go, well, that sounds like a run-on sentence, or that point there doesn't really belong there. It belongs later on in my work, or I'm making too many points in this one paragraph. I better split it up. So all the quote unquote fun, as I said, that comes with proofreading, it makes going text to speech, makes it a bit more, bit easier, a bit more real then, and you can just edit your documents. So a really other useful feature, I think it's the 8th button in there. Unfortunately, it's not labeled. It looks like a little page wearing a headset. You can actually convert your text to an MP3. So this is where I said earlier about reducing your screen time, reducing your stress levels, but also increasing your productivity. So you're converting any readings that you've downloaded from Moodle to an MP3 file, copy that MP3 file to your phone, for example, and then if the mood took me, I could do a bit of housework and start listening away to any audiobooks. Essentially what I've just created is an audiobook from the course content there. So what you're doing is you're getting through your readings in your spare time, or even if you wanted to go out for a walk, that sort of thing. Just have those readings and get through them in this way by using TextHelp Read and Write, converting them to MP3. And yeah, this is a few real world or a few uses of the program. So as mentioned earlier, here is a short GIF or GIF, whatever way you want to pronounce that, of actually embedding or turning on that command for Microsoft Word. So this is, if you attended the 11 a.m. session, you would have known how to get Office for free and installed, so the Office application. So up the top left, you'll see a little toggle there for autosave to synchronize your OneDrive, as mentioned in the 11 a.m. session. So I will let this GIF play and I'll go through it again just to let you know what's going on. So this is me clicking on the little button that I've just added, speak selected text, and you have to believe me, it did actually play it out loud. So the GIF will probably loop here. Yeah, so we're back to the start. So there's a little drop down arrow there. I'm clicking on that, going down to more commands, clicking on that. In the drop down for popular commands, I'm clicking commands that are not in the ribbon. In the list below, I just typed the letter S to jump down to the S commands, or the commands beginning with S. Scroll, 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 bit more scrolling, and then added the speak one. Click add, and then click OK. And what you should see is a new button there added to the top left. So highlight the text I want to read aloud, and then click on the play button, and then that'll read it aloud for me. In the installed versions of Word, I believe it's in PowerPoint as well as Outlook now, you can actually dictate or speech to text. So you'll click on the dictate button, and then it'll ask you what your language preferences are. If you click on that little drop down below the dictate button here, sorry, I'll bring the mouse cursor over here in case you can't see it. It's still looping this GIF. So there's a dictate button. When you click on it, it'll ask you permission to use your microphone. You just click yes, and then you can basically create a brain dump, for want of a better word. Just get all the information that's in your head out onto the page. It doesn't need to be clean. It doesn't need to be succinct. It just needs to be every single bit of information you have regarding like an essay or assignment just out on the page, and you can tidy it up afterwards. So sometimes going like my typing speed is not as fast or as accurate rather going if I was to type. So my backspace and my delete keys are probably worn out from me backspacing and going through a word that's been underlined in red. Whereas if you dictate a document, you will not have any spelling mistakes. You might have a few grammar mistakes from it picking up maybe a few incorrect words or terms, but you will not have any spelling mistakes. So that's another good use of using text to speech, which is text help read and write, detailed previous slide, text to speech built into Word, and also speech to text detailed here too. So moving on to research, this is like a necessary evil, I'd call it. But again, with a few of these tips and tricks, I'm hoping to reduce stress, reduce time, and increase your productivity with this. So for every subject, there's a lot of material for you to find and read. So you'll be sifting through websites, books, journals, and newspapers. So you'll be using, obviously, the main one is Google, the University Library Catalog. JSTOR just stands for Journal Storage, and also Google Scholar. So each of these has a few techniques that you might be aware of, you might not be aware of. I'm hoping it's the latter, so you get something useful out of this. And basically what you're doing is you're tricking these search engines to push up the most relevant stuff that you're looking for up to the top of search results. I don't think I've ever gone past page 2 or 3 on Google unless I was absolutely desperate for, that one bit of the needle in the haystack information or journal or article I was looking for. So easy search tips for finding your readings. So saving time with some search tips using the quotation marks. As I said, and I know I'm repeating, I will, after this slide or after these slides are done, I'll actually open up my browser and show you a couple of these in action. So I'll show you what they mean live, I suppose. So quotation marks will actually search for an exact block of text. It won't search for each word individually. So that's if you know the exact title of something or an exact phrase within a document. Beside that is the minus or a dash symbol, and that's to remove results or even websites out of your search results. Ellipses or the 3 dots is a search between two. Basically, all you're asking Google is a search between 2 numbers. Google doesn't know that they're dates. So this is a useful one for searching for an exact paper that was published between start date ... end date . That's an example of using that. Site : that's a useful one if you want to search within a specific website. And then this is out on its own because it's really, really handy for research, is you can actually ask Google to just bring back a specific file type. So you put in file type : and then PDF will obviously only ask Google to bring back PDF documents. DocX or doc is Word documents. And then PPTX or PPT is PowerPoint files, so presentations. You can also use the Maynooth University Library Catalog to search, which I'll go through in a moment. And then Google Scholar will let you create bibliographies in just a few clicks as well. Hopefully you're all using or going to be introduced to using the Harvard style, but your own department or course will actually have the handbook and the style that will be applicable to you. So that's the slides. As mentioned, I'll leave this one up for a moment, and then I'll share my screen just to show you a couple of these in action. So thank you for attending this. We'd love to hear back from you. So if you have a moment, go to tinyurl.com/TTP 2020 feedback. That's the feedback form. This slideshow is available at tinyurl.com/L2LTTP 2020. So that's tinyurl.com/L2LTTP 2020. Recording will be available on the TTP website. And then any questions, feel free to use the ask button that will appear on the access site. So If you're scrolling on the Maynooth University Access page, for example, you might notice the purple Ask button that will appear down the bottom. So if you ask a question on that, it'll go directly to our admin team. Please feel free to email myself, brendan.mcguigan@mu.ie, or tweet @mu_map. Other social media sources are available. For example, I believe there is an Instagram or a couple of Instagrams for Launchpad, one for Maynooth Access itself, and there's a TikTok, but I'm way too old for any of that, so I'll stick with Twitter. So if you want to tweet, that's @mu_map. Yeah, so I'll just ask the ambassadors any questions that came through.
No.
No. You're handling all the questions, fantastic. So I'll stop sharing this, as I said, and then move on to Otter. So Otter will be the first one. So I'm just I've already created an account with Otter, so I'll log in here and sign in with Microsoft. So after opening a new window here to ask me to sign in with my @mu.ie account. Okay, so here I have a couple of notes here already. I'll go through these in a moment. You can see here it's a free account, 596 minutes remaining this month. So here's my import button. If I had a file, previous recording already on my machine, I could just click on that and then browse to that file, both video and audio. But here I'm just going to click on record. Otter wants to use your microphone, click on allow. And I see the bar animating down the bottom. I did not say automating, I said animating. So you can see that going speech to text isn't perfect. What I really recommend here is either using a headset or, being quite close to the machine that you're dictating to. So here, yeah, and I'll, because I can't multitask and watch text being created at the same time, I'm just going to click on stop. There we go. So stop recording. So that's 30 seconds of me yapping away. So here, the note is processing. I'm not going to click on that just yet, but when it finishes processing, you'll see that the note is ready. Click onto that. And here, lets me jump back 5 seconds, forward 5 seconds. It'll even allow me to halve the speed if the recording was quite fast, or double the speed if the recording was quite slow, or the lecture was quite slow. I want to skip on. But here, I'm just going to click on play. So I said animate, not enemies. So you can see here, I'm just going to click on that. And I can click on the edit. So it probably wants me to stop it there. So yeah, and then I can click on the done. Okay. So I can click edit to change the text, and then I can also actually download this as text as well. So I can download the full transcript or even the audio. I can download the audio that way. Okay, so that's a quick. So this is the browser version. Obviously, I'm accessing this through Microsoft Edge. I almost said Chrome Edge, because it's just Google Chrome, or the Microsoft version of Google Chrome. But here I will show you the immersive reader mentioned. I'm just going to click any link here. So, it would not have to work. Oh, there's our president. So, see, if I hover over this button here, I'm not too sure if you can make it out. It's like a little book with a speaker on it. Or if I should be able to press F9. I'm actually looking at my screen here to find F9. So here is the toolbar that will, yeah, sometimes when you hover the mouse away from it, it automatically disappears. But the first thing I do is I click on this pin to pin it so it doesn't hide. So if I click on this read aloud, so I can pause it there. I don't know if you heard it. So I can click on voice options, slow the voice down or speed it up. Here I have Microsoft David chatting away to me. It's weird that they give them names, I know. If I click X out of this, it'll go back to clicking on text preferences. So I can actually adjust the text to be a bit smaller or a bit larger, depending on the size of the screen and the how dense the text is, I suppose. I can actually increase the spacing of the text to make it easier to read. You can see here, you can adjust the page themes to make it a bit more soothing to the eyes. So, something with a faint background. Sorry if that's too jarring going from. I sometimes like dealing with black backgrounds because the white text makes it pop out a bit more prominent for me. There's actually grammar tools on this as well. You can split the words out into syllables, and you can also highlight and custom color any nouns, verbs. Oh, toggle them on. Oh, I toggled it off there. Verbs, adjectives, or adverbs. So, and what'll happen is the label. I have show labels above. So when you tick on show labels, you'll actually see verb, noun, adverb, etc. above the words. And then reading preferences, you can actually use a line focus to toggle through. So one line, 3 lines, or 5 lines if you're reading from the screen. You can toggle this on for a picture dictionary if you wanted. So you'll see here an up and the down button that I currently have this set to 5 lines at a time. So I scroll down. So that's me concentrating on 5 lines at a time with the grammar tools on as well. So with the highlighted things, I can turn these off as well. So just turn everything off just to show you there. And so that's the immersive reader. So this is built into Microsoft Edge. Is free to download, by the way. It should be a cross-platform browser, and that's just a techie way of saying it works on both Windows and Macs. I'm not too sure about anyone who's using Linux. I don't think it works on that, but I haven't tested that myself. So that's using the immersive reader within Microsoft Edge browser. So the latest browser there. So that was an Otter and using the immersive reader. I'll just move that tab if I can. So there's moving swiftly along to Google. So what's to say about Google? It's Google. So if I was to search, it was the best of, again, spelling mistake there. So it was the best of times. So I'll just zoom in a wee bit. So 5 billion. Yeah, there's too many zeros after that search anyway. So if I was to put quotation marks around this, what I'm asking Google to do is just look for that exact block of text. So with your search results as well, it's going to be a react to what's on the screen here. So you're going to scroll down here. Maybe I don't want Quora, I don't want Schmoop, I don't want Wikipedia. Just a little thing to say on Wikipedia. Obviously you've heard this before, but do not cite from Wikipedia. But you can cite from Wikipedia's references. So Wikipedia itself will have a page in it where it will actually cite its own references, and you can click to those sites. So they're good resources. With Wikipedia itself, I suppose it goes without saying, you can't copy and paste text from that because that's a big X through your bibliography there. So the next tool here was minus Quora. I don't want to buy the book, so I'm just going to minus Amazon, maybe. Space minus Goodreads. I know that's the book review site. So I'm asking Google for 4 things here. Oh, yeah, minus Wikiquote. I'm asking for 5 things. So search for this exact block of text. Take away the word any sites, Quora, take away Amazon, take away Goodreads, and take away Wikiquote. So you can probably see the syntax or the way this is written is there's a space after this, and then there's no space between, oh, sorry about the clicking, space between the minus and the actual word itself. Then there's a space, no space between the minus and what I want to take away. Yeah, and of course the meme is the first search there. So you're probably going to notice that this toolbar, Google toolbar, is going to look like almost computer code by the end of what you're searching for. So this also works for Google Scholar. So a really useful one here is the, as I mentioned, site colon. So again, rt.ie, just in case, Brexit minus bars. I know this isn't going to bring up mostly relevant things, but just in case you're trying to push up relevant results to the top, I'm using site to just search within this specific site. For this word, take away this word. So that's what I'm asking Google to do. Just 3 things here. Okay, as mentioned too, and that's why it got its own line in this slide is file type colon no, I didn't spell it right. File type colon pptx Freud minus dreams. God knows what this is going to bring up, but so yeah, so this is, you can see after any of these results, and even if I hover the mouse over this, I should be able to see a .ppt. Well, that's a very long link that's appeared down the bottom, but any link that you're hovering over, just make sure, usually they'll have a little tool tip before you click on something. So it'll have a little preview of what the URL or the website you're visiting is. Just make sure there is an actual .ppt or pptx at the end of the slide. So this is really, really useful for if you're bringing up any slides or presentations that were already done, and maybe you can cite from them or follow their sources. So it's, again, cutting time down researching, pushing more relevant results up to the top of your search page or search results, and hopefully saving time. So researching, again, it's not a perfect science. It's a bit of a melt, to be honest. But all these tools and tricks are actually meant to save time, save stress, and then find that needle in the haystack that you're going to cite in your work. I might take this moment. Are there any questions that came in there?
There are not.
No, okay, that's all right. Just thought I'd check. So with Google, here's scholar.google.com. So because I hate myself, sometimes I'll have both Google open and Google Scholar open, just to compare. So example, Freud, minus dreams, take away dreams, maybe take away Jung as well, because the two of them were a bit loggerheads. So here is what I've asked Google Scholar to do. So search for Freud, take away dreams, and take away Jung. So whenever you're researching, I thought I should mention too that it's always think of it as a funnel. So start off broad, and then react to what's appearing in your search results. So start using these filters as you're looking at what's being brought back to you. So if you're finding sites or terms that aren't relevant to you, you now know to use the minus symbol and take that word or term out. So this is a really, really good site too to quickly create your bibliography. So on each, I'll zoom in if you can't really see this. So on each result, so for example, this is a letter from Freud, it was published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, 1951. So if I click on the little quotation mark here, and you see the tooltip that came up that says cite, click on it. Here's the top 5 referencing styles. So referencing styles might not mean a lot to you now, but believe me, they're going to mean something to you in a couple of months. So there's MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver. So if you click on this, you can actually right-click, copy it, right-click, copy, or Control-C is the shortcut, and then paste it into the end of your work. So this will, in a couple of clicks, and what used to take students, I know a couple of students that came to me, they said they could take upwards of half a day, even a full day, just to make sure that their bibliography is correct. Because if this, for example, if this is not italicized, that means that your bibliography is completely wrong. And it's just, I mean, I hate to sound like I'm warning people, but it's so easy to lose marks on your bibliography, and it's just a lapse in concentration. That's all it is. But if you have something like this to automatically create your bibliography for you by just copying and pasting, then that's fantastic and such a good resource. Again, saving you time and saving you stress, hopefully. So the next tab I have across here is JSTOR, or journal storage. So first link I'll click on, this is the top one here. So it says have library access, log in through your library. So I'm just going to click on this. Enter your institution's name. I'm just going to put Maynooth. See here, this Maynooth University, NUIM, Ulster Nairn, Maynooth. So I'm just going to log in, click on that. It auto-filled for me. Log in. So here, now my access is provided by Maynooth University, and that just means I have access to papers and journals provided by Maynooth. So I'll always click on the advanced search. This Google search bar isn't really based on Google, and to be honest, I've always saved a few moments by clicking on and going through advanced search. So if I click on advanced search, fill out as much of this as possible. So what you're searching for up the top here, you can actually say and or not, the nearest 5, nearest 10, or nearest 25 records. So the not here is basically the minus symbol in Google. So you're searching for, say, as I said, Freud, but not Jung, and you can actually specify the fields. So author, even the title, the abstract, or even the caption of the material. So if I keep scrolling down, I'm just going to show you the huge feature of this is you can actually narrow by discipline and or journal. So you can click on, say, anthropology to only bring back anthropology results and not bring back any, like archaeology or any, art and art history results that might come down in your searches. So what you're doing is you're filtering your own results, taking the extra 5-10 minutes to go through this way in the advanced search, just so you're not saving time by scrolling and going through any results that might not be applicable to you. Okay. Next, I'll show you the library website. There's the URL or the website. I highly recommend bookmarking this page too. They have really, really good guides here that I won't go through now, but you can go through in your own time by using the library. You can actually search the library for books and articles here as well. Again, there's a little drop down here. I believe you can go into the advanced search here, which I highly recommend doing. I didn't realize it opened in the new tab. Surprised me. Thought it was a spam link for a moment there. They have a live chat here to ask a question. You can see that they're available and online to ask any questions. So you just type in here and it'll go to a library assistant that can help you. But yeah, they have really useful guides here using the library and a few videos as well. So yeah, that's pretty much been. It's a lot of content in 1 hour. There's sort of your note-taking tools, which are based on recording audio, so you can use the built-in recorder. The one thing I should really mention on using or recording your lectures is you will have to ask permission first before recording. 9 times out of 10, that's absolutely fine. A lecturer is almost expecting everyone to be recording the lecture nowadays because it's a huge benefit to students. So I think, they still have their use, but gone are the days of actual physical dictaphones. So everyone who has a mobile actually has the dictaphone app on it. So the built-in recorder works just fine on that. So note-taking technologies, which was Otter.ai, the audio note taker, the LiveScribe Smart Pen, a few reading technologies, which were text help read and write using the built-in Word text-to-speech. I'd argue that the immersive reader within Microsoft Edge, that's going to help you with your readings as well, because that will convert text-to-speech also. And then a few researching pages, so using Google search tips, using JSTOR, and using the library, or making you aware that you can search on the library, and a few guides on the library page there. So if there aren't any further questions, I'll end it shortly there.
All good for questions?
All good, excellent. So a huge thank you to everyone who attended, and a huge thank you to the ambassadors for giving their input and answering the questions that came through. So thanks all. Hopefully see you at